because either a lot of you guys out there requested it, or one of you guys out there requested it a lot. Today on Outside the Box Reviews, we are taking a look at the McFarlane Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag Golden Age of Piracy box set. Golden Age of Piracy, of course, referring to the 1700s in the Caribbean, when Assassin's Creed Black Flag takes place, as opposed to the Silver Age of Piracy, which is going on right now on the internet. But bad jokes aside, here we have, from left to right, Bartholomew Roberts, aka Black Bart, Edward Teach, aka Blackbeard, and Benjamin Hornigold. So 3 main characters from Black Flag to go alongside your Edward Kenway. And I'm gonna admit, I had a lot of people asking me to review Assassin's Creed figures, and I've held off for the longest time because that first wave of figures really let me down. I enjoyed Edward, Connor was okay, but that Hatham was so bad. But I found these guys at super clearance at Barnes & Noble, and I thought, you know what? Maybe I should finally give in, pick up some more Assassin's Creed figures. These guys were also released on individual cards, and they would round out the full wave 1. So let's go ahead and take a look at them. And first off, we're going to take a look at Bartholomew Roberts and all his accessories. Now, all these accessories just kind of came in the package with these figures, so I'm trying my best to determine which one went with which figure based on the back of the packaging of the individual carded figure, but I'm pretty sure this is Black Bart's sword here. There is some great detailing on the handle, very intricate, nice silver blade on it. I think it's a very well done sword, very cool looking. He also comes with a rifle with some great detail on it as well, a decent wood texture. It's all painted in, not actually sculpted, but there is some black in there with the brown to kind of give it a wood look. Some nice ornate silver detailing in different parts of it. And then the barrel itself and the trigger mechanism's a darker gray, so it looks like it's made out of a completely different metal and more utilitarian than ornamental. And then it has a pretty nice bayonet at the end here, even though it's not particularly sharp, but still cool looking. And last but not least, he has a little gun. Pretty simple, but effective looking. Seems funny getting this after just getting another one with a Predator figure, but it's just a time to get little old-timey weapons, I guess. Very nicely detailed, very similar to the rifle, where it has a silver ornamentation, and all the little metal parts around it. The barrel is well sculpted, the end is as well. This figure lacks any real weapon storage. I've kind of been sticking his gun underneath his little sash here. I think that works just fine. Seems like something a pirate would do. And just keeping his sword in his hand and just leaving the rifle off of him. Not really a big deal for me for some reason. It bugs me on Assassin's figures when there's no real storage for the weapons, because that's the game. You're with the character, they have all the weapons on them at all times. I feel like they need to be present on the character. With characters like this, where you might see him in one scene with a sword, you might see him in one scene with a rifle, whatever. It doesn't matter as much to me. I think McFarlane did a really good job on sculpting this figure. The paint is a little wonky. You can see on his chin, I think they were trying to give him some 5 o'clock shadow on the chin, but I got some very dark black pieces on there, and then I have some flesh tone spilling into his very impressive mustache. But the sculpt is very nice. The rest of the face has some subtle skin tones in it where there's some kind of dirt effects going on. It also bugs me that he's looking all the way to his left. His eyes are definitely all the way on that side. At least they're consistent with each other, but it kind of forces you to pose him in one particular pose just so that he's looking the right direction. Coming around the back here, we have his hair kind of fanning out. It's a little unrealistic the way it fans out, but it also allows him not to have super hindered articulation. There's also some nice brown dry brushing in here, which really brings out the detail. You've got his tri-corner hat, which is very nicely done with all the little rivets. The rivets are actually a nice metallic paint on them. And overall, the hat's very well done. The hat is actually removable, and it will only go on his head in one way. It's shaped kind of oval like his head, so that it will only really fit on there facing one direction. You try to turn it another way, it just doesn't sit down as well. And underneath, we have kind of a little skull cap going on with some nice paint detail as well. It's kind of a dark mustardy yellow, then it has the little tassel hanging down the side. I think it's very well executed. Coming down the figure, I really like the costume they put on him. This is a character we see in a lot of different costumes over the course of the game, if I remember correctly, but they picked a very military looking costume, and I really like it. They did some great job with the tassels on his shoulders, giving it that kind of weathered gold look. A lot of good stitching detail in there. Around his neck, you can see all kinds of necklaces and things hanging down. Some nice silver paint apps. You can see the jewel around his neck as well. The coat has a very weathered look to it. It's a red, but it has this kind of dark dry brushing over top that really just makes it look weathered and beaten, and that is very impressive to me. It's really good paint job on this guy. The strap across his chest is well done. A little slop here on the silver buckle. It's more black than silver, but once again, looks tarnished, so not the worst thing. The actual worst thing here is this yellow underneath the sash. It just kind of seems like it doesn't go to anything. I guess it's supposed to be more tassel kind of stuff going on, or a scarf going on, but it could have used some black paint shading or something to kind of give it more detail. And as it exists, it just kind of looks pretty flat next to everything else on the figure. It's got a couple different belts around his waist. You can see the nice silver detailing on this belt as well, with some great sculpted detailing. All the little ornate patterns in this upper belt here are really fantastically done. He's the kind of wrappings around his waist. I have some red paint spilling onto it a little bit, but overall it's a really nice off-white with kind of a black wash in there to bring out the dirt and grime. He's got another mustardy yellow cloth piece coming down the side that's very, very weathered. A lot of black wash on there, even some red brought into it. Maybe he's trying to be blood or something like that. And looking at it, I'm now wondering if it's supposed to match up with this piece around his shoulder, if mine's improperly aligned, though it doesn't seem to want to move. But I'm wondering if it's supposed to be a continuation of that, just moved because of the articulation. The cuffs on his wrist are once again very nicely done. There's very large pieces coming out from his forearms, once again showing a lot of weather detail. The white ruffle around his arm, once again, it's not very white because of how weathered it is, and some very weathered up black gloves. Finishing the rest of his coat, the coat is a nice soft rubber, very pliable, very movable, making up for one of the major complaints I have with the original release figures. You could definitely still get a lot of posing going on underneath this. And then you can see his undercoat kind of coming out the bottom is the blue. He has another belt coming down around that as well with a very rubberized tassel hanging down. He has his brown pants that actually have kind of a fabric pattern sculpted into them, and his big old boots complete with buckles. For articulation, the range on this figure is surprisingly good. He has a ball joint at the head and look up and down pretty far. Left to right, not so bad either. The tie coming off from his head wrap is a little in the way, but not too bad. It's rubberized enough that you can kind of get it moved and do whatever you want with him. His arms are on a pin socket joint, go forward and back out to the side. The little tassels over his shoulder are rubberized and will move out of the way when you move the arm up, which is once again fantastic. He has the kind of ratchety bend joint at the elbow as well as a rotation. And his hand is on a Hot Toys style joint where it can rotate as well as hinge in and out. Move that hinge so that it's corresponding to a different direction with the hand, and get the hand to move up and down in all different directions, though it is a little hindered by the way this sleeve is sculpted. At the waist, he has a decent ball joint. You mostly, oops, she doesn't have a ball joint. That's what the inside looks like. At the waist, he has a swivel. Up here at the legs, he has kind of an odd joint. It's very hard to maneuver. I think it's just a ball joint, but it's very hard to go forward and back with it and out to the side, but you can get some range of motion there. It's not blocked so much by his costume, but it's just really not designed to move too well. It will also swivel up there inside the hip. He has a bend at the knee. Once again, that ratchet joint like the elbow. He will also rotate. When he's fully bent at the knee, it's harder to rotate. When he's further down, you get more range out of it. He also has a rotation below the cuff of his boot and a ball joint at his foot. Next up, we're going to take a look at Blackbeard. Blackbeard comes with a sword very similar to Black Bart's. Actually, I think it's the same exact mold, so we won't go too far into that. There's no real obvious place where you leave the sword on him, but I'm perfectly fine leaving it in his hand. Across his chest, he has a big old bandolier full of different pistols. We get some very long ones, which are very nicely detailed, lighter wood tone to them, some nice silver detailing on them. Actually, on closer inspection, these two long guns are similar, but not identical. Got another pistol similar to what Black Bart had, and a very tiny little one that I would assume would be his last resort as a weapon, but very cool looking. I like the detail on this one. Blackbeard's head sculpt is really cool. I love the expression they gave him, just kind of this permanent scowl. He is looking all the way to his right, so I guess you can have him and Black Bart kind of almost back to back maybe, and both looking at the same thing. His hair is very ornate. He's got the braided beard, all kinds of different layers to the texture here, coming together in a ponytail on the back. His hat is also very cool looking. I love the silver ornate brim on it and the big feathers billowing over the side. It's very unique looking, and it is removable, and he has a red little cap underneath. You can see he's just spinning around to the back. There's no tie hanging down off this one like there was on Black Bart, but not too big of a deal. One complaint I do have with this figure is the bandolier on him. It's very loose I almost wish it would peg into the shoulder or something, just to keep it from flopping all around. But the plus side is it is easily removable if you don't want to have it on the figure and you want to, say, get it out of the way so you can look at all the detail on the clothing. So there is some great detail on the shirt, a lot of silver ornamentation, some kind of stitched in patterns here on the lapels, the ruffle coming down the middle. Turn onto the back, a lot of the same great detail. It also looks very leathery and kind of crinkly textured, which is great. The sleeves are very nicely done as well, little silver metallic buttons on it. His cuffs aren't quite as ridiculous as Black Bart's, but they're still pretty prominent. And then he has the black glove. Of course, every character in this game needs like 800 belts, so he of course has his brown belt up here with the silver buckle. It looks very tarnished. A blood red sash going around his waist, coming down here to the side, and a tie. And then a couple extra straps just dangling down at different angles. Probably put his sword in one of these if you wanted to as well. See the ends of his coat hanging down here, more silver detailing and that leathery texture. It's split in the back here. See more of his undershirt sticking down the bottom here as well. His baggy black pants. Once again, boots with a big cuff on them. These are a nice brown with some dark texturing on them. Little rogue bits of red on his shoes, but that could also be blood, so we could just call it that. But I really like the shoes actually. Some nice stitching detail, and they really just look like nice brown leather. Very well done on this figure. For articulation, his head doesn't move so much up and down because of that huge beard and mane of hair. It doesn't even really move too much side to side. You can get a little movement out of it, but it's really hard to do much with it just because of everything going on. But I wouldn't sacrifice this sculpt for a movable head. I do kind of wish this was more rubberized, but whatever. Shoulders can move forward and back out to the side. They have the same kind of ratchet joint we've seen on a lot of these figures. Same ratchet joint also at the elbow. You can also swivel there. Hands are same as Black Bart. You can swivel, and they have that ratchet joint that you can move around like a Hot Toys joint. It's got a swivel at the waist, ball joints at the hips, forward and back, out to the side, bend and swivel at the knee, swivel underneath the cuff of the boot, and a ball joint at the foot. Last but not least, we're going to take a look at Benjamin Hornigold. We've already looked at an identical rifle to the one he comes with, and we've already seen this gun before, so we'll just skip over those and look at his sword. His sword keeps the same hilt on it, but has a straight blade instead of a curved blade, and that is because he comes with a holster, so you can actually put the sword away and have him carry it. The holster has some pretty good detail to it, looking nice and leathery. Very similar to the strap that Blackbeard has. This is very wobbly, kind of loose on the figure, so you may want to take it off if you're doing some dynamic poses, because it does tend to kind of get in the way. But some good silver detail on it, all the way around it, nice buttons and little areas on it. Very well done. Benjamin, the face looks like it does in the game, which is a compliment to it, but it's not nearly as interesting as the other two unkempt characters. But it's a good likeness. He has a nice 5 o'clock shadow and some mutton chops going on. His eyes are dead center, so I guess he could be the middle of your pirate group, looking dead ahead. Sarah has some nice detail in it, though I do have a lot of paint slop from the flesh tone coming into it, but it does have some nice brown highlighting going on in it as well. He has his bright blue jacket, which looks really nice, some gold trim and detailing throughout it. His isn't nearly as weathered looking as the other two pirates. There is kind of some darker blues added in to kind of make it look a little more worn and varied, but his is definitely a much newer looking coat, but same great rubbery texture to it, which I like a lot. And because this is actually a coat that's open, not tied across the front, his is actually a full coat and not just something that starts again at the waist as a separate piece, which is cool. Sleeves are hard sculpted, so they are what you'd expect from most action figures of this style. Very nice looking sleeves there, ruffles around the hand, and the black glove with even the little lines sculpted into it. He has this dirty white shirt underneath with a deep V-neck, because we all know Benjamin Hornigold was the original hipster. Nice belt buckle detail there with the silver, another sash going across the middle, and another belt, because he has to have another one in this set. His pants have some great texture going on. It's a mix of a dark and light brown for the paint job on it. You can even see the button fly going on there, and then some more great detail on his boots. A nice lighter brown mixed with the dark brown of them, and the nice silver of the buckles detailed there. I really like the paint job on this guy. Despite some slop on here, the paint job is pretty impressive. Now, Benjamin's articulation is a little different than the other two. He still has a ball joint at the neck, so you can move that all around. The shoulders are on a true ball joint. It's not that ratchet joint the others are on. This is a real ball joint. It comes out to the side, and it kind of just looks weird. You get that extra little ball bit coming out when you move the arm. It also feels a lot looser. I definitely prefer the ratchet. You can also move forward and backwards. Bend at the elbow as well as swivel. This does have the ratchet in there, but you almost don't feel it activating. It just doesn't seem to work the way the others do. The hand is the same little peg system where you can rotate it and bend it on the axis. There's a swivel at the waist, the ball joins at the legs, the bend at the knees, it just kind of bends in a weird way, leaving this middle piece here, and it looks interesting. I like that they try to continue on the sculpt with it, but it just is different if nothing else. He can swivel at the top of the boot, and he has a ball joint at the foot. And, well, as a conclusion, all I can really say here is, I'm sorry. As I said at the beginning of this, I got a lot of requests from people to review more Assassin's Creed figures, and I just felt burnt by the toy line. I kind of felt burnt by Assassin's Creed 4 itself, just didn't enjoy that game nearly as much as the earlier ones, and I was just kind of done with it, and I didn't want to deal with it, and I just wasn't interested in doing more. But 2 of those 3 Assassin's Creed figures from the first part of Wave 1 are 2 of my highest viewed videos, and I guess I'd be dumb not to go back to it, and I'm glad I did, even if it was for this box set of characters I was less than crazy about getting in my collection. But these guys have me sold that the bad parts of that first wave were maybe just some out of the gate jitters, because these guys are great. I love the paint job on them. They look very good. The sculpting is solid. They come with a ton of accessories, and most importantly of all, the articulation is a lot better. It's far from perfect. I still want some more. I want better hips on these guys for sure. That is a must. A ball jointed waist would be great. Maybe not with these guys, but when it comes to the assassins, I think it's very necessary. But overall, McFarlane did a great job with these guys, so I am definitely going to recommend them. Now, if you're lucky like I was, you could pick up this set from Barnes & Noble for under $10 on their clearance rack. Or if not, these guys were all released single carded, and they came with downloadable content for the game, which the multi-pack did not. So you could pick and choose which characters you want in your collection and which ones you don't. But I'm very glad I picked up this set. It definitely gets a solid recommend, and based on how much I enjoyed this one, I've given McFarlane more of a chance, and I've picked up a couple selections from Wave 2 and 3, and I'm going to be reviewing those next time. So in the meantime, make sure you check me out on Instagram, username Outside the Box Reviews. Also check me out on Facebook, link below. And until next time, this has been another Outside the Box Reviews. Stay tuned, because we're going to assassinate some more figures next.